Hi, I am Sheila Hollins.
And I'm Mike Zarski.
And welcome to our yard. So when we were starting to establish this garden, we really kind of thought about how we can incorporate natives, these beautiful flowers that also are going to be helpful for wildlife as well as insects and birds. So in our yard right now, we have this beautiful compost plant, which is an amazing plant because it was kind of used by the Native Americans as directional. So the leaves tend to point north and south, but it comes up with these beautiful yellow flowers, which are great for birds, and it's wonderful to see the goldfinches later in the season on these beautiful yellow birds. Sweet Joe Pye weed, which is another great one. It's actually a wonderful nectar source for monarch butterflies as well as other pollinators, and it's just amazing to see the flurry of activity around here. And then very close to this, we have some of our common milkweed, which is the host plant for the monarch butterflies. In addition to the beauty that natives provide, they're amazing for whatever you're dealing with. Where we have a very, very sunny yard, there are some sun-loving natives, but you also can look at natives that are shade-loving, water-loving, so whatever your yard has, its ability to be able to incorporate that into your yard in a way that makes sense. So here we have some monarda with wonderful pollinators all over it, which is a great way to see this flurry of activity and knowing that native pollinators are on a decline. Rattlesnake master, which is one of my favorites. It's a very unique, unusual plant. And then we have our cup plants over here. Now, these are supposed to grow between 7 feet tall, but I think we've definitely kind of topped the 7-foot tall mark. And then also we have our culver's root, which is another wonderful attractor for pollinators. While most of our yard is full sun, we do have a very shady area right underneath this catalpa. So we wanted to make sure that we're using natives that are tolerant to shade. And one of them right here is this wonderful goat spear that is a beautiful kind of spread, and it really kind of provides a wonderful interest. And then as a wonderful screen for our air conditioners, we have the only native clematis. It's Virginsbauer, and it's this beautiful tree with these white flowers that'll be popping in just probably a few weeks. And so this area yard is a partial shade, and most of the plants here do and can tolerate some wet conditions, which are great. We have lots of lobelia that hasn't started to bloom yet. We still have more culver's root and this beautiful royal catchfly, which is kind of seated right next to our hummingbird feeder. Hummingbirds love the royal catchfly with that beautiful red bloom, as well as some other like tolerant ones. Rattlesnake master more over here is kind of established. One of the beautiful things about natives is they don't require a lot of water, a lot of maintenance or anything. So once we get things established, it's just as you go. In drought times like we've had this year, we've definitely had to make sure that we've been watering things, but for the most part, it's beautiful.
So these are our raised beds, and we got the idea for them from going on yard tours in previous years and seeing other people that had similar setups. The wood for these raised beds is mainly salvaged lumber that we had around, we were able to reuse. And one of the issues that you have with raised bed gardening is the soil dries out more rapidly than when you garden on the ground. So we added a drip irrigation system, and that is on a timer, and it kicks in 3 times a day for 10 minutes and just drips water very efficiently right along the base of the plants and keeps them in very good shape. And as you can see, we have peppers and tomatoes here of different varieties, and we're getting ready to harvest and looking forward to the bountiful harvest that we're going to get. This is our pond or water feature, and the purpose of this, having this water here in the yard, is to provide the birds and animals with a source of water, and they're drawn by the sound of the circulation and the noise that the little waterfall makes. It's actually a pretty simple setup. There's just a big tub, almost like a kiddie pool, that's buried in the ground here, and then we have a circulating pump and this little waterfall, and we've covered the bottom with rocks to bring the bottom of it up so it's very shallow on the surface, and the birds can just walk right in there, and as they frequently do, and take baths and drink and things like that. So most of the plants that we have growing in and around the pond are natives. We have cardinal flower, which a lot of people grow in their garden, but they actually tolerate wet feet quite well, so you can grow them actually in water. We have sweet flag, which is a native that lives in wetlands, and we have scouring rush, which is another native, and then there's creeping jenny all around the pond that just adds some interest and color.
So this is another feature of our yard that I'm really, really excited about. This is our garden tower. And while we have all these beautiful herbs and things growing on here, another great thing about this is a vermicompost. So we're able to compost in this, taking our food scraps, and it uses red wiggler worms that are used within this tube that compost, and once they've kind of worked through it, it comes out through this bottom and you get this beautiful rich soil which we use to amend our raised beds and things. But it also allows us to grow things like basil and parsley and dill. We get a lot of swallowtails laying eggs on our dill, arugula and salads and greens throughout the season. We actually do bring this inside in the wintertime, so we actually are able to overwinter some of these vegetables. So cooking in winter, we can just pinch off some fresh basil and still have that to be able to use year long.
So this is our compost bin. It's a pretty standard design. We've seen these in other people's yards, and we built this one ourselves. It is covered and has removable slats. And what we do is we put all our vegetable kitchen waste in here, along with clippings and things from the yard, and let it compost over the year. And then once a year in the spring, I'll get a wheelbarrow, empty out all the compost and use it in our raised beds or in other parts of our garden. This is called a rain chain, and it replaces the standard downspouts that run off gutters and carry water off your roof. In this case, it's on our garage. And the reason we used rain chains is because the downspouts would concentrate the water and create a big rush and erode things back here, and it was difficult to channel the water. With the rain chain, the water is diffused as it runs down this chain. And then what we've done to absorb the water and keep it from running off is dug down a little ways. Most of Wilmette, if you dig deep enough and get through the clay, you'll find that it's pure sand and it absorbs water very well. So I dug about 3 feet down here, filled it with rocks, and now when it rains you get a nice stream of water that just trickles down this rain chain and is absorbed straight into the ground.
So this is our rock garden, and so what we wanted to do is, we don't like or need that much grass, but we wanted to find some interesting. So we have about maybe 32 different varieties of ground cover here, along with our whipcord cedar, prostrate hemlock there, and our beautiful shrub version of a redbud. We also have some false strawberries, but we have some beautiful color over there. We have ajuticas, we have some amazing things, and what's great about this is we don't have to do much to this in the winter, and it all comes back, so it's been really great. We do some hand weeding, but other than that, it's just been this amazing thing, and I think eventually we'll continue to cut out more. This will be probably our whole front yard here. This area includes native plantings that are different from traditional foundation plantings found near homes. Here we have northern sea oats, which are these beautiful native plants with these beautiful seed heads. And one of the great things about the sea oats is we actually keep these up all winter long, so you have these beautiful stalks as well as these gorgeous seed heads all winter long. So when we are devoid of sunlight and all, it's still nice to have something pretty to look at. And this is one of my favorites. This is the passion flower, and this is actually native to Illinois, typically found in southern Illinois. And so one of the things that we did when we brought it here, it's actually planted right next to the house, so it's insulated, so it keeps warmer, and it's been able to thrive in our yard. And I think that's one of the ways of thinking about how to use natives and being very intentional with all the work that we've done in our yard in terms of providing habitat for native pollinators and stuff. We actually qualify for a number of these wildlife designations. Monarch Waystation, a certified wildlife habitat, Pollinator Habitat, and a certified bird and butterfly sanctuary. And it's really kind of nice because these are all things we enjoy. So in what we enjoy doing, we actually also manage to qualify in terms of helping out our wildlife.